bien out there. Walk with me in Paris. Let's go on a random adventure with no particular direction, no particular agenda, just to enjoy the beautiful vibes of Paris, as many famous artists, writers, and major historic figures have done so before. Let's embrace the true flaneur lifestyle, which means a person who just walks around the city and gets to know it intimately. I'm Ariel. Let me know where you're watching from. You're watching Urbanist. B. Chris is also in France. Hey, B. Chris. Edward! I'm getting close to the dear Netherlands. Who knows if I pop in there. Oh, look at this. What a surprise. We got the classic French fast food place, McDonald's. Hello, Mater. Mater says, nice surprise. Thank you so much, Mater. Happy to be here. Happy to surprise and be surprised. Wow, this is a beautiful little roundabout here. So welcome everyone. We're going to go for a nice little stroll here in Paris for about 30-40 minutes. What will we bump into? Who knows? I drank a lot of coffee. I was editing a few videos because I'm working with Rise New York to make TikTok content for them. And those videos might be 3 minutes long, but they require a whole lot of editing, as many of my own TikToks also require a whole lot of editing. So if you enjoy my short videos on TikTok, Facebook, and occasionally I also post them on YouTube or on Instagram if they're less than a minute, know that they actually require sometimes hours of sitting down, finding historical footage, additional assets, editing all those together, finding the perfect music, and then getting it all done and posting. And that usually means that I have to sit down. And luckily I can work from my phone, so I'm sitting down at a beautiful cafe working. So now I'm very caffeinated at 6 p.m. here in Paris, so join me. Julian says, hey, welcome from Paris, Texas. Oh, that's so cool that you're watching from Paris, Texas. I'm now very curious about Paris, Texas. It has some type of fame because there's a lot of bars. I've seen a bar in Kilkenny, Ireland named Paris, Texas. There's a few bars in New York that have the name Paris, Texas. And I passed by a bar here that I saw was called Paris, Texas. Hello, Lauren. Welcome. Nice to see you here. So let's actually admire the different types of shops. You know, with every different country, there's an array of different shops. Not every country is going to have the same exact category of shops. For example, here we have a tobacco store. Tobacco stores are similar to your smoke shops in America, but with one minor difference. Here you can sometimes find cell phone data. So if you need a SIM card, you can find them at the tobacco shops. Sometimes they have postage stamps, and of course you can buy lottery tickets and things like that. So that's the interesting thing about tobacco shops. And sometimes they actually serve coffee with the ones that are a little bit more old school. And you see, you know, your typical Frenchman hanging out there. They tend to be a little bit older, a little bit more rough around the edges, drinking a good espresso. Right here we have a beautiful flower store. Then over here, sometimes places use names when they're not so appropriate, but here we have Bistrot du Métro, which they say it's a bistro, but it's not really a bistro. It's like a huge cafe. Bistros tend to be a little bit smaller. But one typical French thing that you'll definitely see here is everyone dining outside. Now, there's one major difference as opposed to America. The major difference is A, you can just order a drink, which is amazing. B, you can still smoke if you're seating outside or on the terrace. And C, the seating faces outwards to the street. So there are, of course, some people who are facing each other, but a lot of people are facing out towards the street. It's very common here in Paris compared to the US. You don't really see in the US, people tend to always sit across from each other. And dare in the US to sit down and just order a drink. They'll kick you out quickly. Drinking just a drink or just a coffee. Unfortunately, in the US, you either have to go for a coffee shop for a coffee, or you have to go for a bar to just drink. But luckily here at most cafes, you can just grab a drink or a coffee. They won't hassle you. You don't need to order food. And I've learned this the hard way because I sit down, I feel like I need to order food, so I end up ordering food. I'm like too full, and I realize, wait a minute, no one around me is eating. There's another pro tip I have for all of you. These seats outside or on the terrace, you could just sit down. You don't need to ask the host to sit down or not. Just one thing to look out for. You see white tablecloth, don't sit down. White tablecloth denotes that's a proper sit-down restaurant or proper seat for eating food. Otherwise, there's no white tablecloth. You can just sit down if you see an empty one. B. Chris says, what area is this? You know, that's a good question. I think the metro stop is Gambetta. Gambetta is the metro stop, which I think should be the 11th arrondissement. I'm right behind Pere Lachaise Cemetery, which unfortunately is closed at the moment. Closes at 6 p.m. Though I might do, I'll most likely do short videos on Pere Lachaise. There's a few interesting stories, including the conspiracy of Jim Morrison being still alive, which actually would make an awesome short video. So Pere Lachaise is only one block this way. So if you don't know what Pere Lachaise is, it's one of the most famous cemeteries in all of Paris. Major historical figures are buried there, not just Jim Morrison from The Doors, but also Oscar Wilde, Edith Piaf, who's made some of the best songs in history. No Je no de Godian, it's one of my favorites. La Vie en Rose is another favorite. So as I mentioned, no white tablecloths here, so you can just sit down. But for example, this is a restaurant. It's all indoors. You probably can't just walk in and sit down. That's the difference. Manny, nice to see you here. Dilema existencial. Si habrán filmado más películas en París o en Nueva York? This is a great Manny says this is a great question. Have they filmed more in Paris or in New York? Probably New York. Más seguro Nueva York. Por cierto, hay una industria de cinema bien que ha influenciado el mundo mucho aquí en Francia. Eso sí es cierto. Pero no creo que es tan grande comparado a los Estados Unidos y Hollywood. So yes, there is a French cinema industry here. And of course it has been very influential. But it's nowhere near as big as Hollywood. So I would say that there's more films in New York than there ever were in Paris. Now when it comes to American films in Paris, there's a few, and there's a few famous ones. A few of my favorites as well. Midnight in Paris, Before Sunrise. Let me know, what's your other favorite American movies set in Paris? There's an American in Paris as well. And certainly there's British films also set here. Wendy says, will you be doing a tour of my accommodation before I leave? Not in this trip, only for patrons. I will be doing a tour of my accommodation. The reason that is when I stay in a private residence where someone actually lives, I will only show it to patrons and only provide the link to the Airbnb upon request. But fret not, I'll be showing more places because I'll be staying in hotels and Airbnbs that are not private residences for my future destinations coming up this month and the next month. So yes, if you want to get access to my Airbnb tours when I stay in a private residence, then you can go to patreon.com/urbanist. My mom says my mom liked the movie Charade. Oh yeah, Audrey Hepburn. So here we have the walls of Pere Lachaise. And there seems to be a parkway, a little park trail over here. I surprisingly really enjoyed Emily in Paris. You know what, Michael? Yeah, it is a fun series. I managed to watch like one episode. There's a lot of stereotypes there when it comes to my generation, millennials, but I really do enjoy it. I can see why it's a fun show. Ooh, look at this one, Café Martin. Ooh, look at this street. Eyeball says where area we are in. I think we are in the 11th arrondissement. I'm right by a metro stop right now called Gambetta. Right here, look at this iconic metro stop architecture that we see all around France. Very Art Nouveau style. You know, New York got Art Deco, but Paris got Art Nouveau. Paris also has Art Deco. New York also has Art Nouveau, but Paris is really famous for its Art Nouveau. Look at that. Almost mimics the trees behind it. And the lights look like budding flowers. I love the typeface right here. Let me know if it has a name. Inspire Life says, I love the metro architecture. Me too. I really do. So let's see, where are we right now? And again, as I mentioned, if you see me walking around, I'm always happy to say hello for a few seconds. However, I ask that no one follows me around because I put my full attention onto the videos and they can be distracting. With that said, I'm going to show you where I'm at. So here is Gambetta, Pere Lachaise. It doesn't say the arrondissements, which is the neighborhood regions, the neighborhoods or the boroughs. I'm not sure what would be a proper term for arrondissement in English. But New York has 5 boroughs. London, for example, has 32, if I'm correct. And Paris has 21, 22? John says it's the 20th. Are we in the 20th right now? So we're here. And right here, the first one, for example, is this one right here. The Louvre. Don't go to the Saint Denis area. It's very dangerous. Saint Denis. Let's see, where's Saint Denis? I've never been to Saint Denis. Is that where they filmed La Han? Very famous gangster film from Paris. 20 arrondissements. Thank you so much. 20 arrondissements. 5 boroughs in New York, 32 in London, 20 in Paris. Jorge says you need to make another video of Saint Denis Abbey. Ooh, yes, I'll most likely be covering that at some point. Stay tuned. So I love the cafes. Toronto has 6 boroughs. Oh, cool. That's awesome. Kelly says, I love Paris. Oh, I'm so glad. Yeah, me too. It's gorgeous. George says, many dangerous suburbs here. What's the most dangerous of Paris? Let me know. Have you visited the Latin Quarter No, not yet. B. Chris. And the metro typeface is called Parisian. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much. Parisian. This is just gorgeous little hilltop here. People picnicking. Oh my. Hey Joseph, nice to see you here. Welcome. Good afternoon, Lucy. Adam says, I would like to see the hidden attractions of Paris. Oh yes. How's the rebuilding of Notre Dame? I passed by it the other day and it looked pretty good. Toilet brush salesman says, am I going to the catacombs? I am indeed. Wow, beautiful flower. I love that. Gorgeous. Oh, yeah, we caught a bee on camera. That's cool. Luckily, I'm not wearing a floral shirt. They always confuse my floral shirts for real flowers. That's the downside of wearing floral shirts. John says, wow, that's so pretty. Yeah, that was very pretty. It's one of the many water fountains we see all around Paris. It's amazing. Look at this architecture. What is this? Weird. Wow. This is an interesting architectural style. Let me know. This is like, what is it, French, south of France style? Countryside? Let me know if there's a style name for this. It seems like it's emulating wood. It might actually be wood. As opposed to the more iconic style you see in Paris. There's a few brick ones. This is a little bit more iconic. Ava says, great to see you. Great to see you too, Ava. Melissa sent 50 stars. Thank you so much, Melissa. Looks like plaster. Yeah, I think yeah. It's like metal. This is metal, but with plaster on top. It looks like, yeah. Ivel says it's a strange little house. Yeah, it is. And they're building what appears to be something modern this way. All right, let's go this way. Hey, Susie, nice to see you here. Hello, TBS. Hello. Jérôme. Bonjour, monsieur. Bonjour, Jérôme. Jérôme. Ooh, I like this. Wow, that's beautiful. It's by Leia Liddy, or Liddy. Leia Lidiel. Beautiful. Wow. Barb says, was that residence? It appears to be maybe a hostel of some sort, some type of governmental building. I can't tell. Mandy, or I'm gonna say your name in French. Mandy says, 2 of my friends just flew to Paris. And Ava, ooh, Ava left a nice $10 super chat. Thank you so much, Ava. I appreciate you. It says, cheers, dear Ariel. Love to see you in my favorite city. I'm so happy that I can be in your favorite city. Thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Helps show you restaurants, museums, bus rides, metro rides, all these things. Thank you so much for the super chat. I love Parisian bars. Look at this. One thing I really love about drinking culture in Paris is that it's just a lot more chill than drinking culture in America. In America, It's changing slowly in New York, but generally you have to like go into a dark bar that generally has very loud music, and the drinks are going to be a little bit more expensive, and there's a lot of people crowding in. What I like about Paris and many other European countries is you can just grab a chill drink, have a nice cocktail. Sometimes they're even playing light jazz and nothing else, which is amazing. How far is Versailles? Says Robert. You know, good question. I think it's like a 40-minute train ride. It's by rail. Do you think the layout of Paris is well designed? I think so. In order to navigate is another question, but I think so. Jorge says train ride. Please go to the cities of Reims. Ooh, thank you. It's a if you know English, go dine alone. It's very easy to have a drink solo. If you know some of the language or going to places where probably there are a little bit more people who know English, then it strikes me as a place easy to meet others, because let's see if we pass by a place that I can show you, but people are very cramped. You know, you're very close to others. So cool thing about Paris is you have a variety. So you can go to a cafe where you're very tight-knit with other people, and it's a huge crowd of people. Or you could go to a cafe that's very quiet, like I did for my philosophical chat a few days ago. So you could go to those two options. And if you go to the cramped, tight ones, it strikes me as it's easy to meet people. The French are maybe not as, I would say, or Parisians are maybe not as affable as Americans are, or as like Irish are. But it strikes me as a place that, yeah, you can meet others. Let me know what you think if you've been to Paris. Otherwise than that, everything else is comfortable doing solo, walking. Here, I see people walking very relaxed. I don't see people here walking with fear, like I do in New York or other cities like maybe like Seattle. I don't see people here. I see women here walking alone, men walking alone, everyone. And then the other thing is it's chill also going to museums and other things. Events, I see people also solo, both French and tourists. So yeah, very solo friendly. Kay said 500 stars. Thank you so much, Kay. Marcela, thank you so much. Hello. Robert says French people are quite friendly, I think. Yes, I would say just to start off on the right foot, the French are very proud of their language. So while this might not be the case in every country, it pays off to start the conversation speaking just a little bit of French, even if it's just a bonjour. So if you just start with the bonjour, or if it's later in the night after 6 p.m, bonsoir, it starts off on the right foot. It's not like other countries where, I would say in the Nordic countries, my experience like in Helsinki, you can start off in English, it doesn't matter. A lot of people just default to English sometimes in those Nordic countries. Eileen says, yeah, you must try to speak French, yes. I found this similar to Italy, where you can start in French, and then, especially if they're young, you could just switch to English and it's okay. Is it good weather, says Branco. Yeah, it's nice weather. It's about 70 degrees Fahrenheit, 71 degrees Fahrenheit. It is a little bit more windy today, so it's a good day for a sweater. And that's a very interesting statue. A woman in rapture. Fabby sent 100 stars. Thank you so much. Just reminding you of Central Park. Yeah, not so much because of the architecture. But you know what? Upper West Side does have architecture that's similar to this. But there's something about the feel. It doesn't feel like the Upper West Side. Upper West Side feels very different. Or Upper East Side next to Central Park. Susan says, I know 5 words and how to count. Yep. As long as you know how to say hello, I think it's a big step. Now, another thing you should be aware of, this might sound super simple, but is extremely important. Wherever you walk into, any location, might be a restaurant, a cafe, a store, a tourism office, anything. You walk into a place, always say bonjour or bonsoir if it's after 6. Always say hello. Always. That sounds obvious, but in America we don't tend to do that necessarily. And no one gives you it's not seen as negative or positive or at all. People are indifferent to it if you don't say hello. But if you don't say hello here, you start off at the wrong foot. People might not even give you good service. So it's very important to just say hello. Even if it doesn't feel like you need to say hello. If you're going to a crowded bakery, there's like 20 people there, do your best to say hello when you walk in. Because they will notice if you didn't. And the service might not be as friendly as if you said hello. George says just say Guten Tag. Let me know, how is it in other countries? You know, I'm also, being Puerto Rican, no, it's not really necessary to always say hello in Puerto Rico. You could just walk into a shop. And in New York, it is even more normal. Like if you go up to the cash register, to not even say hello, just say, I like a double espresso. I like a Americano, please. You don't even say hello in New York sometimes. Robin says, hey, I'm from PAI, Canada. I'm going to finally send you some love over here. Or messages. I have watched your vlogs a lot. Awesome. Hey, I'm so happy, Robin. Thank you so much for tuning in. Fila, welcome. Nice to see you here. Toilet brush salesman, have you found out this in the hard way? Luckily, no. I've not had anyone treat me very negatively. So no, I have not learned that in a hard way. Basically every YouTube channel that talks about pro tips when traveling to other countries, like Walter's World, he's a great one, always say the same thing. So I knew it before I came here. Barrett says, is it rude to call the waiter garçon? Yes, garçon, I'm not, I think it originates from a film that was shot in Paris, but it's an American film from like the 30s, where the main character is snapping his fingers and saying garçon, garçon. And that kind of just continued in Hollywood films, where two characters would go to a French restaurant, they would just say garçon. Garçon is the equivalent of being in a restaurant in America, waving at the waiter and saying boy, hey boy. That's the equivalent. Garçon means boy. Imagine saying boy, and especially in certain areas in America, it would be highly offensive. So yeah, don't say garçon. Eileen says American tourists tend to behave poorly. Oh, you know what? It depends. Yeah, it depends where you're from, America. Janet says, I see some graffiti. Yes. Graffiti exists basically everywhere around the world. Very few places around the world don't have graffiti. Susie sent 200 stars and Christine sent another 500 stars. Ooh, thank you so much. Appreciate you. Thank you so much for the stars. George says, in Myanmar, if you call the waiter or waitress, you make a sound with your lips, like kissing someone. Yep. I think that's also common in the Philippines, right? Ava says, visit Parc des Buttes Chameaux. You will like it. Cool, thank you so much. I will look into it. Parc des Buttes Chameaux. William says, I traveled to Paris twice and found it very friendly. Oh, I'm glad you did. I'm really glad you did. Gary says it's from Beauty and the Beast. Did Beauty and the Beast say that? What's tipping culture like in Paris? I don't think you pay tip. Generally, I don't see anyone giving tip. There is no tip option when you pay by credit card. Also, if you're going to a very touristy restaurant, they might show it to you. If you want to actually leave a tip, they have to manually input it. So I don't think it's normal. Wow, that is a beautiful restaurant. Some of these restaurants are so well designed. Lorraine said 500 stars. Thank you so much, Lorraine. Lorraine V, appreciate you. Petter with 100 Swedish krona. Thank you so much for the 100 Swedish krona, Petter. Thank you so much, Petter. You're awesome. Tack, right? Is that how I say it? Thank you so much. Have you seen any car crashes? No car crashes. Here, Paris, the traffic isn't as bad as New York. New York has a lot more traffic on the streets. John says, I leave like €2 for dinner. Yeah, I've left change. I left euro. If I got very good service, I left a few euro. Is the tip already including your bill? I have not had a bill where a tip has been included thus far. I've been to one restaurant, been to two restaurants. One of them more kind of upscale, another one that's more kind of common, and both of them did not include tip. Susie says, can you please show us your jacket? Sure. Let's take the, who wants to take the metro? Let me know if you want to take the metro. There is generally service down there, so I'll say fingers. And I'm not sure, I don't think there's any restrictions when it comes to filming. So maybe, let's see. So Susie wants to see my cardigan. I'm wearing a cardigan. This is a cardigan in the shape of a jacket, but done in a very French style. So I ended up getting from a company called Alex Mill in New York. Steven says, represent CCNY in Long Island. Hey, Steven, thank you so much for tuning in. So yes, this is a cardigan. It's done in a suit jacket style, but French inspired. As I mentioned, the French men wear a lot of the blue shirt jackets. You see them everywhere. So if you're a man and really want to blend in France, just wear a blue shirt jacket. Everyone's wearing it. This one's cardigan, so it's a bit more cozy. Let's go. Wow, Pere Lachaise is huge. We're still walking around it. Someone earlier asked, am I getting into the history of Paris? Yes. Watch my previous video. I actually get into the history of the Mona Lisa. And then you'll be seeing history of Paris in other videos, especially the short ones. Mandy says, have you been riding the metro? I've been riding the metro all the time. So there are these seats that go down over here, and then there are seats that face each other. It's much cleaner than New York's metro. Much cleaner. New York can get very dirty and dingy, but these do use cloth, similar to London. Though I don't think Paris has an issue with bed bugs like New York does, infestation. So I feel comfortable sitting on them. Is it safe? Yes, generally it is. I have not been to like the suburbs. Unlike New York, the New York dangerous areas are going to be within the city limits, and sometimes there will be within the actual inner city itself, so within the middle of the city, but not so much here. Here, the quote-unquote dangerous areas, it's a much more complicated subject, of course, but what people would deem dangerous would be on the suburbs, the places around. J Fox, ooh, exciting. Where will end up? We'll see. I appreciate you. Have you got any people speaking in English to French people? English has been pretty much understood in most places. Some, especially older people, do not know English too well, but it's easy to get around. And have you suffered from... Luckily not. Almost my first time coming here. That was my perspective, and that was many years ago. I think Paris has significantly cleaned up since then. You should visit the Moscow metro someday. Stay tuned. And you should visit the Moscow Metro someday, says Trevi. I would love to. It's one of the most beautiful metro systems in the world. Okay, I'm going to show you a really cool train station right over here in Paris. It's actually one of the least visited stations in the entire system. Well, first, let me show you the train passing by. Alien Traveler says, "Is that Bugs Bunny?" I think that looks very similar to Bugs Bunny in the symbol. I think it would infringe on copyright in America. But nope, it's not the actual Bugs Bunny. Luis Carlos, muchas gracias por lo mil. About $11. Thank you so much. Cool train station. So if you want to see cool stuff like this that I usually don't do on live video, follow me on TikTok, Ariel Vieira, or on Facebook, Urbanist Live. And you'll see more hidden locations like this. Wendy says, "You're looking good." Thank you so much, Wendy. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Here it is. So on the 11 line, we are on the Ars et Métiers. Ars et Métiers. Ars et Métiers. You just gotta like cancel half of the letters and just blend them into one, and that's how you speak French. So these look like fancy walls. I like the tiling on this. This is very typical in the French metro. Audrey, thank you so much for the $100, the $1 super chat. Appreciate that. And here we have it, a steampunk themed metro stop. So originally this, the station, the original Arts et Métiers station opened up in 1904, and this is right underneath one of the most prestigious engineering schools in the nation. And then they expanded it to the 11 line a few decades later, and then by 1994 they redesigned it. They hired a comic book artist by the name of Francois Scoitin, who made comics with the Belgian company, and made comics about futuristic cities in order to design a Jules Verne-esque style train station. This was going to be feeling like you're at 20,000 leagues under the sea. And hence we have these submarine-like windows. We got copper or copper-colored panels. It's a cool selfie opportunity. We have little miniatures here. Here's just the train tracks. But it's really, really cool. And I love the gigantic gears right over here. So it's very appropriate also for being underneath a engineering school. Janet says, I love the Stockholm Metro. Ooh, that's good to hear. And even the garbage can is copper. That's cool. And look at the sign as well. And I'll show you how it looks like from the outside. If you have any last remaining questions, feel free to ask. Thank you so much for joining me on a walk through Paris. I'm live every Thursdays through Saturdays at 2 p.m. New York time.
Por aquí, ¿no?
Yo creo que sí, sí, debe ser. Sí, aquí. Tengo un buen día. All right, so we have Spanish tourists. The exit did look a little bit shady, so that's why they were afraid to come out. So here is the metro stop, and we're out. Oh, how I love that the metro has cell phone reception. That's so cool. Trish says, have you had dinner yet? No, not yet. Dinner is at 7 p.m. Yeah, 7 p.m. is dinner in Paris. Starting. Many places that have a dinner menu start serving them at 7 p.m. Unless if you go to a place called, that says, I'm going to mispronounce this, service continu or service continuous. That means you'll be able to get food before 7 p.m. at those cafes and bars and brasseries. And the reason why there's no trash on the streets is because Paris has trash receptacles. Unlike New York, I have no idea why New York doesn't build this. Look, New York can even make this decorative. They can make this look into like an apple, a big apple. And then it'll be both servicing a touristic purpose and also be a place where you can put your trash. But no, New York wants trash bags boiling under the hot summer weather, causing a stench that is only typical for New York. So they gotta step it up. They gotta make huge apple-shaped trash receptacles. Look here, we have bubble tea. Bubble tea is truly invading everywhere around the world. Is there any train here from Belgium? Yes, there should be a train to Belgium, Netherlands, and all parts of France. I think you can even go to Spain, I think. George says it's 27 euro. What's 27 euro? Oh, you can basically travel all over Germany for 27 euro. Yes, Germany is extremely cheap. And ladies and gentlemen, look who we found. Bob has joined us all the way from New York. Come with his multiple bobettes. Penny, the copper colored pigeon, is also here. Cooper should be nearby. Wendy says, was someone yelling? Yeah, there was a woman yelling. What appears to either be Chinese or Korean or Japanese. Thank you for tuning in. See you Thursdays to Saturdays at 3 p.m. Western European time, 9 a.m. New York City time. And there's a whole lot of other conversions beyond that. Keep being awesome and always keep on exploring. Have a great day, everyone. A bientôt, mes amis.